Welcome to Moms in the Zone, where we talk and discuss things all related to sports from a different perspective, the mom's perspective. Today, our first guest is Siv Wills. She is the mother of Jedrick Wills, a current Cleveland Brown player who was drafted in the first round of the 2020 NFL Draft. Welcome, Siv.
Hello.
Yes. Thank you
Thank
for being
you.
on Moms in the Zone today. How are you?
Fine. How you guys doing?
We're doing great. Doing great.
Everybody staying safe through the corona.
We're trying.
Yes.
We're trying.
Don't go too many places, you know.
Right.
Gotta stay in. And so I guess the first question we have for you today, Siv, on Moms in the Zone, is just, a chance and opportunity to get to meet you, a little bit about you as the mother of Jed. So give us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Yes, I am a mother of 3. Jedrick's my oldest. He just turned 21, May 17th. I have a set of twins, Kendall and Callie. They're 15.
Okay.
And just a little background about me. I had attended Maysville High School, and that's in Maysville, Kentucky. From there, I had pursued my education at EKU, which is Eastern Kentucky University. My degree was in broadcasting and communications.
Oh, okay.
And so after I graduated, I came here to Lexington, Kentucky, which is about 20 minutes from Richmond, Kentucky. And I actually got into teaching. So, yes, I was a kindergarten teacher for 2 years. Then after that, I was a high school teacher, which I subbed. I was a substitute teacher at the high school. And then from there, I just continue subbing and being a substitute teacher. From there, I had Jedrick, and he was my firstborn. And so from there, Jedrick, he was a big boy. He was a 10-pound baby. And
Wow.
Yes. And
That alone just
Right. I'm in that club. I had a 9-pounder, so I know what you're talking about.
Yes, ma'am. So with bringing Jedrick into the world, it was one of the, as all you moms know, it's a remarkable feeling that you can never just get that feeling back. And once he decided, that we had him, he was growing up. He was a challenge for me, because being a first-time mom and having him, he was very, very active, I must say.
Very
active.
Okay.
Yes. And I stayed home with him, so I decided to be a stay-home mom. And yes. And with me being a stay-home mom, it was just me and Jedrick all the time. I taught Jedrick how to read, write at a very early age. He took his first step at actually 5 months old, which is very, very
that's early.
Yeah. Early.
Right, absolutely.
He did everything early. It just seemed like, when you turn around, he didn't crawl. He actually kind of scooted backwards. Then from there, he stood up at 5 months and he took off and was walking. So,
right. So,
yes.
It's the number 2 kids that messed that up, though. It's the number 2 kids, because then you just, what's taking y'all so long?
Right, absolutely, that is it.
Right. And so from there, and entering Jedrick in school, he went to kindergarten. Before he went to kindergarten, he was reading, he was writing. He was very in tune with a lot of things going on as a kindergartner. I can remember the teachers, they were always telling me that, I just feel like your child is not paying attention. But Jedrick was a very good multitasker at a very early age. He could actually listen to you. He did not have to have eye contact. You could ask him, "Hey, Jedrick, what did I just say?" Jedrick could repeat exactly back what you said with no problems with that. So in saying that within a nutshell, that's one of the things my mom said when he was staying home with me. She's like, if you're going to continue to teach him, there's not going to be anything there for the teachers to teach him when he goes off to school. It's like, my mom, coming from.
You didn't think about that.
Yes,
Right.
yes. And coming from a teaching background, that's just all I knew, is to, sit down, teach him how to read, write. And then I decided at the age of 7 that I wanted to put him in football. So
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
That's what. Let's get to the good stuff. So
Yes.
you so what does that look like? I mean, just paint the picture. How did he get started playing football?
Right.
Yes. Jedrick got started playing in football. I signed him up with Parks and Rec.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a little league team that we have here in Lexington, Kentucky. I signed him up at 7 years old, and I can remember the first day that I took him out to practice. He was all excited about getting signed up, but after practice, he came home. It was, Mom, I don't like this sport. I don't like it at all. He's like, Mom, all I hear is my coaches. They are screaming, yelling at me, and he hands me this packet, and it's about yay thick. And he's like, I don't even know what this stuff is. They told me to learn this. He says, Mom, I don't want to do this. So he cried. He whined. He didn't want to do it. And so I sat Jedrick down and I explained to Jedrick, this is the coaching style. This is part of football. And he's like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to go back. All they do is tell me to hit my friends. They say I'm the biggest player on the team.
He didn't want to hurt his friends. Oh.
He didn't want to hurt his friends. Correct.
You're
yes.
right.
And so
it goes against everything that they learn, right? Don't hit your friends.
Yeah.
Everything that Jedrick had learned, because he was a mama's boy, and he was with me majority of the time, and just getting him out and trying to, just get him in with the sport, getting just acclimated with other kids playing sports. This was one of the sports that he did not like. For a whole week, he cried every single day. I don't want to go back. And I said, Jedrick, you're going to play. You're going to go back. You're going to continue to play. Mm-hmm. So what I did was said, I'll go in and I set him down one night. I'll help you learn the plays. I'll go over these with you.
Wow.
And he kind of got settled in a little bit after that, but he still, even from being in Parks and Rec, going to middle school is the same way. It was a chore just getting him there to practice. He didn't like it. He didn't want to practice. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. And I'm the type of mother, if I sign you up for something, we're not going to quit.
That's right.
That's how we do, right? We say, hey,
you drop that check. It's right.
You're going to finish this season at least.
And that's what I reiterated with him was, for when he was in Parks and Rec, hey, we signed up. You don't like it next year, then, we won't sign. I won't sign you up. But he kind of got settled in, and he said, okay, I'll go back next year. I'll go back. But it still was the same thing. Every day going to practice. Oh, I don't want to go. I don't like practicing. And he didn't like running, any of that. But he did pretty good at the games. He enjoyed playing in the games. It was just practice. He did not want to practice.
Right. He just wanted to get to the real thing. He's like, okay, all of this, formalities of it, and I'm not here for that. Just get me to the game, and I'll show you. Yeah. I'm with that.
And this continued on in middle school. Was the same way. He wanted to do the same. Just complain about. I don't want to hit my same thing. They put me up against a lot of my friends, Mom, and I really don't want to hit them. I'm a big kid. And he reiterated that in middle school, but it was part of the sport. And I'll go back again to what I said, most of the kids, when we started out, there could be, 15, 30 kids, that 30 kids at the most, sometimes 35. By the time the season started, they would weed off, and you would have some of the moms that would just say, hey, you have this giant kid. My kid, look at him. He's got to go up against yours. And they would let the kids take the easy way out and not, not finish out. They would just take them out of the sport.
Right.
That not with us.
Mm-hmm.
Anything with that, anything we started academically, schoolwork, everything. I was the one that was the mom, that was the heavy mom that, hey, I had the hammer. It was basically, I'm going to make you guys do A, B, and C. So that's where I got to be called the dictator. I was a dictator mom. My kids called me.
We all have a name in our household, right?
I
as mothers.
identify with that. I identify with that.
Yeah.
My nickname is the warden.
Okay. So,
Mine's the warden. So I identify. I get it.
Yeah.
right.
So Siv, it was such a struggle. I mean, through middle school. So when did you see, what was that aha moment? You were like, you know what, Jed, he's got it. I mean, this is something, I got something here.
Okay. I would say Jedrick's aha moment would be when he was in middle school and he was still, trying to figure out, is this what I like? Because we signed him up for other sports. Jedrick, he played basketball and he played some baseball. And I can remember that he had a coach, which was Dennis Johnson. He was one of the coaches that basically had him there. And he would always tell Jedrick, you're a big boy and, you're going to have to, come in, put all your effort with this and not just come in and think, hey, I'm going to make it because I'm so big, I can dominate everybody. But he said, you're going to come up against players that's going to be just as big as you, more aggressive, some maybe smaller than you, but you have to get this work ethic that says, I'm going to try my best, try my hardest. And this went on, and I can remember with Dennis, he's one of the coaches that went to bat for all of the kids. If you had anything as far as with academics, any from off the field, on the field, Dennis was there for you. I can remember him taking kids up under his wing, and every week grades had to be pulled. If they did not have the GPA, then they would not play. And some kids were, they learned at a slower pace. They had IEPs to where, some of the teachers would say, hey, if he's going to play sports, he needs to have the same GPA across the board. And it wasn't giving any of the kids any slack to where, yes. And the kids, sometimes their grades that needed to be put in at the end of the week, some kids may not have had the work done at that point in time. They needed work. They need extra work. They had some of the work that was being graded. And so it counted against them because it wasn't there. Now, Dennis would go to each teacher and say, hey, this kid here, he's got a grade coming. He's got a test coming. Can you guys hold off? Do not put grades in. And he was that type of guy. He was there for the kids on and off the field. And I can remember one day at practice, Jedrick was, normal day going in practicing. And, he's always, when he comes from practice, he's telling me all these things and this, that, and the other practice. So I don't like practice. I don't like this. This day he was quiet. I'm like, hey, son, how was practice? You're very quiet. He's kind of sitting there in the seat, after I picked him up, head down, like long face. Mom, I have something to tell you. Okay, what's going on, Jedrick? He said, well,
here it comes.
I'm going to give you heads up that I'm not going to play the next game. Why?
Exactly.
Yes, why? And Dennis, he bitched me. I'm not going to be able to play. Why? Because he said I wasn't trying my hardest, and so I won't be able to play. Well, hey, that says in a nutshell, if you didn't get to, he's not going to play the next game, then that means that you must work hard all week, and maybe he'll put you in. Maybe you'll get to play. He says, no, you don't understand, Mom. You don't know Dennis. If he says I'm not going to play, I'm not going to play. So that says a lot in a nutshell for how Dennis is. And I could see that with Jedrick's aha moment, it was a turn of event for him, because the next week in practice and all week, you could see he was a different player. It was basically, okay, now I'm going to try my hardest. I am going to, because he knows, I mean, that's the love of football. He loves football.
Right.
Standing there, not playing. He set out the whole game, and I think Dennis may put him in maybe fourth quarter, 2 minutes or something to go in the game, just to say, hey, step foot on the field and then come back out. You're finished.
Right.
And
Did you learn your lesson? Yeah.
A little teaser.
But
Got
see,
a little teaser.
I know there's, they're talking about relational coaching, which is, has been in existence, but I know is coming back up. But just explain that dynamic. I mean, the relationship you have with Dennis, benching him and then talking to Jed, what impact did that have, just having a relationship with the coach?
Having the relationship with Dennis and other coaches, even coming up through the reigns of football, basketball, soccer, any sport that Jedrick played in, that's one of the things that you have to really do is come in and build a relationship with your coach. Mm-hmm. So I know that Dennis, knowing him, that he's not going to do anything that's going to hurt Jedrick, because if he goes to bat for the kids off the field in the classrooms, after school tutoring, making sure the kids have what they need, and then him doing what he did basically with me, that showed me Dennis's character. It showed me that he's for the kids. He built a very good relationship with all the kids. Mm-hmm. If the kids ever needed anything, I could count on Dennis. I knew Dennis was not going to hurt Jedrick in any way. He was not hurting him. He was building Jedrick up. He was making Jedrick stronger. Mm-hmm. He was having Jedrick to see, hey, if you're going to be a football player, this is what it takes on and off the field. You do something, I don't care if you are my best player. And it showed, it wasn't like he was like, okay, I'm going to set an example. That's not what that was not his intention. Yeah, his intentions was to build each kid up, build their character on and off the field. Let them know this is what it takes to make it. So from there, Dennis went on to the high school. He had coached Jedrick as well at the high school, and that's one of the turning points. I really think that Jedrick, it kicked in with him his sophomore year to say, hey, I'm a football player, because he played basketball. He tried. He thought that he was going to be the point guard. He'd run up and down the floor shooting threes.
Big men always want to be point guards.
Yes, big men.
Right, yes. That is funny.
Yeah, so the game was so quick. It was a quick-paced game, and instead of waiting for big man to get down the floor, throw the ball to big man, by the time they were going down the floor, then you see Jedrick, they've gone down and came back. And it was like Jedrick just running up down the floor. And so with that, in saying that Dennis is him following Jedrick on and being a very, very good mentor for Jedrick. His sophomore year, that's when Dennis he got another job at another school, so he took a high school head coaching job. But from leaving there, that had stuck in the back of Jedrick's head. I must have very good work ethic on the field, off the field. Very smart. His grades were always immaculate, straight A's. You didn't have to tell Jedrick to be disciplined with his grade, his schoolworks. He would always come in, sit down, get his work done, and that's just the way it was. And not to say he was just smart and intelligent. He had a very good work ethic. He wanted to do good in his grades at school as well as off the field. Same thing that rippled on over into discipline on the field. He received his first offer at South Carolina. That's when he was in the 10th grade. So from there, everything just kind of spiraled and rippled. And at times Jedrick would say, the kids would come up to him, run up to him at the, when he was in high school, they want his autograph. He's like, Mom, I don't understand. I don't see what all the hoopla is about me. I'm just a regular kid. I just want to play.
Right.
And go ahead.
No. I was just going to ask you, you speak so highly of Coach Dennis. And I guess we're curious to know, like, if you have a parent that their kid is starting on the youth level, or say middle school, because some kids don't start on the youth level. Some kids may not start football until they get into middle school. And so what would you say to that coach? If you could write a letter to a coach and you say, "Dear coach, this is what I as a mother need from you. This is what my student athlete needs from you. You know, we hear you speak so highly of Coach Dennis. What would you say that a mother whose kid is just starting this sport, what do they need from a coach?"
The first thing that they need to do is, from a coach, is they need to build trust. Because if you can trust your coach, just as if you can trust your mom, your dad, any mentor, that is going to go a long way. And one of the things I could tell him would be like, "Hey, this is how you could actually build a relationship with my son. These are the things that I need from you, is basically trust, honest. He's going to look at you as if you are the leader. I want you to actually, let's be his leader. Be someone that he can look up to. If he has any problems, he doesn't understand the sport, I want you to be actually one of the coaches that can be actually critical, but be critical in a very good way. I don't want you
a constructive way.
Yes, he needs very, very constructive criticism, and that goes a long way with kids, because it's been times that young kids, this is where the foundation starts, with them coming out on the field, wanting to play, wanting to learn the game of football. Even a kid that is in middle school, his first time stepping his foot out on the football field, knows nothing about it. You have to actually build him up, explain to him, let him know this is what we're doing. This is what we have. This is I just don't feel like that kid, okay, you're big, or you should know this. I need from you as a coach to teach my kid and be that role model for him. Everybody can say, "I'm a coach." Go out and coach and go out on the field and say, "Okay, go do A, B, and C," but actually be the person that they look up to. And that's how my son, that's how you can get better, I'd say better work ethic out of him. You don't tear him down. Jedrick
my son's the same way.
Yes,
my son's the same way.
Praise him. And and most coaches, some coaches do not understand and don't know how to do that. All they know is just hard.
They're transactional, and that goes back to the relational side of coaching, is that a lot of coaches are just transaction. They're out here to teach you the X's and O's, and that's it. They're not, you know, the X's and O's of the games. They're not talking about the emotional side of learning who you are when you leave this field. What's going on in your home life? How are the academics? How can I support you in the classroom? How can I support you at home? And so that goes back to that relational side of coaching. I always say that coaches don't understand. They can do two things with their role as a coach. They can either be dream builders or dream busters. So I think when they understand that and they become more relational, they can then decide, which side of this do I want to be on? And I don't think any coach wants to be a dream buster. And so that is huge, or what you're saying is just that trust and building that relationship with the student athletes.
And it's a learning aspect with everybody. It's kind of, you know, and football, you have so many kids. You have to learn them. You have to learn their personalities. You have to learn their character. What makes this kid tick? What makes this kid, how can I get a little bit more out of this one, this one, and this one? Yes, and that's what I said. It's teaching. It's teaching, learning. Everybody has to come in a nutshell. Parents, they have to support the coaches. Coaches support the parents. I can remember coming up when I played. I'm from a sports dominant family. Everybody played sports in my family. I'm from a family of 10. If you weren't playing sports, then something was wrong. And mom, dad, everybody. That they came from a sports family, and it was one of the things is back then, parents, they did not listen to, okay, you're out there and coaches are treating you wrong, or coaches maybe not treating you fairly. My mom and dad didn't stand for that. If the coach said, you know, you're not giving your best effort, or you've done A, B, and C, or then, you know, they take the coach's side. It wasn't about looking at us and seeing how we felt. That was just the generation back then.
Right.
Yeah. They supported the coaches, teachers in the classroom, everything. If you came home, said, okay, get a phone call, your teacher said you did A, B, and C, it wasn't no debate. It wasn't a discussion. Mom, you couldn't tell your mom you didn't do that. They did not want to listen to that. And that's one of the things with me, having to learn a lot about parenting, teaching. Even I used to help out, even when my son was little bitty soccer. I was one of the volunteer parents, volunteer parents at the YMCA that helped the kids when they were little. So I can understand, and I can see that this is one of the things with kids. You have to kind of listen nowadays when they come and they tell you, Mom, something's going on, or this is going on in the classroom, or this is going on the field. I don't feel like I'm being treated fairly, this, that, and the other. Everybody knows their kid.
Right.
And it sounds like Jedrick doing A, B, and C, and he comes and he tells me, or if the coach or the teacher says this happened, it sounds like Jedrick, then, hey, Jedrick, this is you. If it didn't, I was the mom that went the extra mile to say, hey, let's talk about this. Let's see what's going on. I would, you know, set up meetings.
Right. And that speaks to you. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Because if you don't have that relationship with the player and the parent, I mean, how can you, I mean, I just don't know how you can be in that capacity of coaching. I mean, that comes with it. You know what I mean? It can't just be on the field. I mean, that's a young person, like you were saying, Yvette. You got to build these young men up. And I will never forget it. The USA Football, Herm Edwards spoke, and he really just captured everything. That, you know, what you say to a player can either lift them up or tear them down. And
that's it. A build a dream or bust it wide open. Exactly. You know, it's either or. Yeah.
Right. And I think some of these coaches, they definitely recognize that power, and they abuse that power for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
They definitely abuse that power for sure.
And that with reiterating with that, and I'll give you guys another scenario of that. When Jedrick played soccer, he was the biggest kid on the soccer field. Literally, when he was playing soccer at 4, he looked like he was 7, 8.
Right.
He was just big. That's my kid. He was a foot taller than all the kids. And I can remember he was just running his hardest down the field, just running after that soccer ball. And he just running. Kids were just bouncing off of him like a ping pong. And
I can see that.
It was so
the visual.
Right. He didn't mean to push one of the kids, knock them down. He didn't mean, he was just going after the ball. And I can remember this coach just ripping him from the other side, the other team's coach, and saying, that boy is too big. He should not be out here playing. He came over on the sidelines. He had tears just crying. Mama. Yes.
Oh, see, that just as a mother. Oh, my gosh. See,
and I can relate to that because Mills always been big. And so I was like, oh, be careful. Don't, you know what I mean? But that's just that's who God made them. God made you big. You know what I mean?
Yes. Right. And when you tell them not to be who they are, and so what are we doing? What are we teaching? We're teaching them to suppress who God made them to be, and that's not right. You know, so you have to check it as an adult and say, hey, if I'm going to be the head of this sport and I'm going to coach this sport, there lies some compassion that I have to have for these children, because they're going to come all sizes, all talented ability levels, you know, so I can't expect out of Jedrick what I may get out of an Emil. I can't expect out of Marquise what I may get from Derek. And so a relational coach understands that. Yes. The actual coach, it just goes over his head either way. It just because he's out there just to X's and O's and get care of that. And so that's Yeah, X's and O's, you know.
And this is one of the things that Jedrick endured this all coming up from just being a toddler and coming up, because any and everywhere Jedrick he went, everybody expected so much more out of him because he was big. Even from when I can remember he was at church groups, you know, he was just being a baby. He was so, you know, big to the point, you know, 2 and 3 years old, he's just being like all the other kids. He would crawl and they're just like, tell that big boy to get out from under the table. He's too big for being under the table. At 2, he looked like he was 4. He always looked 2 years older than what he was. And this was from classrooms, from times that he's had teachers, he was one of the kids that was actually just picked on all through his generation coming up, from classrooms. Yes. And coaches, some of the coaches would tell him the same thing. You know, you're a big kid, go out there, do what you're supposed to do. Other coaches, you'd hear them across the field. They tell the players, chop blocking, hit him in his knees. He would be saying, you know, Mom, they're playing dirty. They're hitting me in my knees. And he's a big boy, and he would come home. His knees were so sore. He was crying. And that's my child, to where I could have said, you know, let's just pull him out. He doesn't need to play. But I stuck with it. I was a mentor with Jedrick. I was his rock. I was his confidant. I was everything to Jedrick that a mom could be.
Yeah.
Like, and literally. You hit on an important thing when you said earlier that you would listen to him. And if something came to you from a coach or a teacher, you wouldn't just automatically take that coach or teacher's side. You would listen to Jedrick's side of the story. And then you said that you wanted to teach him. And then now you mentioned mentoring, and all of that speaks to the role of a mother. And the thing that comes up in my mind is advocating, is that we have to be advocators for our children in the classroom, within the sports that they choose to play, because if mom doesn't speak up for them, and if we don't teach them how to speak up for themselves, they may not have all the tools just yet. We're teaching them, we're guiding them, but they don't have it all just yet. We have to advocate for them, because no one else is going to do it better than mother, you know? And so that is so profound.
And, you know, it gets back to, you know, what Siv was saying earlier about, you know, just their size sometimes. You know, society just might look at them based on their size and think that they're older than what they are. And at the end of the day, and I think Nikki could probably attest to that, like for me, that was one of the key things I wanted to do as one of the team moms, is like get our boys together and let them be kids. So I was always kind of that team mom that would, you know, hey, the sleepover's at our house, or hey, we're taking them to the pool, because it gave them the opportunity for them to be kids, right? So outside of that, people are looking at their size. You know, the opposite team and those parents are looking at their size, and you know, hey, they got a 15-year-old on the 7U football team, you know, that kind of thing going on. And, you know, your kids are hearing this, right? Your kids are hearing this. And, you know, hey, that big kid tackled my son, and he's too big, and blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, and I can attest to this, when these kids come off that football field, they're just boys. And they like to do boys stuff. And they like to watch SpongeBob and play in the pool. And I think that's what society sometimes forgets about our kids, is that they are kids at that age, that big, tall, small, short, they're still kids. They're not adults. And it's important that coaches realize that. They got talent that's probably beyond their age, right? That's probably a little bit more than their age group, but their mentality, they're still kids, and they like to do kid stuff. So it was that thing of, you know, I think it was, you know, this parent thought Emil was older than he was. And I think at the time he was probably, I don't know, 12, because you guys were staying out here at the time, Nikki. And so, but, you know, it was just like, no, we're not about to have that. And at the end of the day, you're not going to be talking to no kid like that anyway. Like, we don't care who you are. And don't catch this beat down from the hall family, because we got it. Like, don't get it twisted. We live in Brownsburg, but we bout it. Like, don't do that. Don't do that. But we quiet over here, but we hold our own.
You're not gonna
here,
mistreat our children. You're not gonna
we're
mistreat
not
our
gonna do
children.
that. We're not gonna do that. Like that's not about to happen. No,
And
you're not gonna talk to no grown ass. Nah, you grown.
Yeah.
You're not.
And that is so true, because one of the things that when Jedrick was, he was about 8, like maybe 9 years old, and we played against the team, and this mom across the field, all she did was screamed and yelled, and kept screaming and yelling, "That big kid is killing my son, hitting my son." Oh, she was irate, and come find out she was the coach's wife.
Oh, they're the worst.
She was going ballistic on Jedrick, to the point that, I was just like, are you kidding me? I mean, if you don't want your son to be hit and played, go put him in ballet or something and put a little tutu on him. And she going off on the other side of the field to where she had enough. She ran out on the field after my son. She ran out on the field.
What?
The coach grabbed her and literally picked her up and carried her back off the field onto the other side. And my niece was sitting beside me, and I'm like, oh, no, she didn't. Was she actually coming out on the field after Jedrick? Right. And after the game, she was still after my son. And my niece was just like, looking at me like, when is she going to, like, she going to see another side of me? She was looking at me like, what are you going to do, Mom? So my composure, and she was just doing all this yelling and screaming and everything. And, after the games, the coaches take the kids and take them on one side of the field, and they talk to them in the little group.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And the coaches were doing their thing over there. And the other coach was literally having to physically hold her back. At the end of the day, she was going over, and
she's still going.
She was still going after Jedrick. And so the Parks and Rec, they always have an administrator that's there on the grounds. Mm-hmm. So she got kicked out of the Parks and Rec league altogether. Yeah. She was not able to come to watch any of her sons' rest of their games. My coach, Jedrick's coach, actually had to write a letter, a statement as to what took place, what happened, this, that, and the other. And he had to put in there, they was asking, what did I do to provoke this, or what did she do to provoke this? It was, and the coaches were so involved. Jedrick's coach was so involved on the field that they wasn't really paying too much attention to her going back and forth. They said they kind of saw her run on the field, but they didn't know what she was doing. And the other coach grabbed her, took her back off the field. And it was luckily, they told me, from Parks and Rec, when he got the letter back, it was, was good that Mrs. Wills did not retaliate. She did not come onto the field. She stayed in the bleachers, because had I just stepped on the field, whether me and her connected or not, I would have been out of the whole league at that time too. I would have been punished as well.
Yeah, just and we've all, I think we've all experienced that. We all as mothers have experienced at some point the mistreatment of our sons in the sports arena. Whether that be football, soccer, rugby, whatever, basketball, whatever sport that they're playing. And, I think us having this open discussion about it right now, it, hopefully some coach will watch this, through social media or YouTube or what have you, and they will have a better understanding of what that student athlete or that young child and that parent goes through, and what the role that they play, what is needed of them, and how they can step up and protect our children. Because at the end of the day, if we leave them at practice or something, we're leaving them in the care of the coach. Right. And when we leave our children in the care of the coach, whether it be in their youth years, middle school, high school, or college even, when we leave our children in the care of you, I expect for you to protect my child as if I would if I were here to be able to do so.
Yes.
When I hope that a coach is seeing this and be able to say, hey, where can I improve my relationship with the student athletes that have been left in my care and under my leadership?
And go ahead.
I was going to say, but I think sometimes those coaches don't even see or don't even realize how much more they would get out of that student athlete. Like those student athletes are so willing, you know, and I can just speak, you know, from Barrett's perspective. They're so eager, you know, they're so excited, and they're so willing to, you know, prove themselves and who they are and just give their all. And if the coaches, I feel like a lot of times they take advantage of that vulnerability and that sincerity that our student athletes have, versus taking that into the positive direction and just saying, let me build that relationship with that child because I see the hunger in their eye. I see the, you know, they want to do it. They want to succeed. They want to work hard. They want to perform. They want to be a team player. They want to see the team succeed. They take that, they don't take that and say, I'm going to use that for the positive, not only to build a relationship and build the program, but to build a better student athlete as a person and mentor. They see it as, like Yvette was saying, X's and O's, and they would get so much more out of those student athletes when they build that bond that we're talking about. I don't think they really get it. I don't think they really understand that they would really get so much more. And the only reason I say that is I look back at the Red Dogs experience, and we had kids from all different backgrounds, different sizes and everything. But when it came down to playing at Battle at Rocky Top, I truly, truly, truly think there was the talent that was there for sure. But then they're playing up against kids from Nebraska and Oklahoma who like tower over them.
Right.
But you got coaches that have invested in you and who've built you up, built your character up, and they've instilled something in you. It makes those kids want to work and fight harder. And I think that's really, truly the driving force and why they even won Battle of Rocky Top that year. Is because the coaches tapped into that and was like, you know, we're investing in these kids. It's not just transactional, it's relational. And those kids took it to the next level. You got little bitty old Jedrick going against them big boys from Nebraska or Oklahoma or whatever team they played. But it was just his heart was in it. His heart, you know, his drive.
They were building him up to that dream of what he was wanting to do. A lot of these kids have a dream if they're a youth baller. I want to play when I get in middle school. And then once they, get to middle school, the dream is, I want to, win a state championship on the high school level. Right. And once they get to high school is, oh man, I hope I get recruited and I go off to college and play. And then when they get to college, it's the pros. And so if a coach understood is that as you speak, you're speaking something into them. Either you're speaking something into them or you're breaking something inside of them. Yeah. Which side of it do you want to be on?
You want to be on.
And so when the coaches understand that, like you said, Shalonda, they'll get so much more out of these student athletes. And these kids will go and give them 110%, And so I think this dialogue is going to change that perspective, And if coaches also understand that relational side with the student, they understand the relational side to get to know my athlete more. Right. You got to have a relationship with their mother.
And this is one of the, and that's what you say when it comes in with the mother. This is one of the things I told you guys, that when you have that kid that goes through a lot of those trials, tribulations, and diversities to where he feels like that I'm doing everything that I can, and then the coaches, just some of the coaches or teachers, they're just badger me, or they're just putting me down, and they're on me, to where it takes a lot of steam out of these kids, and they just, it's like a balloon, you just deflate them. And in order to get what you want out of this kid, that's where it comes in, as us as moms, knowing your kid, watching their body language, listening to them, letting them speak, be just stay involved. And when you have those team meetings, or be at the team meetings, you can go voice. A lot of times they don't like you to have an open floor and voice what's going on, but if you can at times use the open door policy that the coaches do have for you. Go in, sit and talk to the coaches, let them know, hey, this is how my kid's feeling, or this is what's going on with my kid. And I know I had to do this all the time with Jedrick. It was all the time. And as you say, him going through what he went through, sometimes he just felt like you know, he was defeated at times. I've done all that I can do. And they're yelling at me, Mom. They're still wanting me to, even through high school, they're wanting more out of me. They're wanting more out of me. What more can I do? I'm doing everything that I can do. Chin up, son, chin up. I would just tell him, sit and talk to him. You have to keep going. You have to keep striving because you have a goal that you're reaching. Jedrick had a goal. He was wanting to be that kid that you're talking about. And he struggled
to enter the zone.
Yes.
So, it is. Enter the zone. Let's enter the zone.
This is a chance where we give the moms what's on your heart. What would you share? You know, something no one told me. So you're in the zone now. So give us some pointers, some best practices,
some wisdom. Mama Siv wisdom.
Yeah, Mama
wisdom. It's so much, and I won't talk all day, but it's just so much. One of the wisdom things is to always just be there for your child. Be that shield for your child. You have to be that shield. Because nobody else knows your child better than you do. Absolutely. And people are going to expect, like you said, so much more out of your kid. I carry Jedrick's birth certificate around with me everywhere I went. That's just how it was. Because any and every sport that he was in, the coaches, parents were looking and saying, there is no way. I don't care what you say. There's no way that kid can be that age.
Okay.
And somehow you have doctored or fixed that birth certificate. I've heard it all with Jedrick.
Wow.
Been there, done that. Yes.
I have heard it all to where they have actually had him. I've had a parent and a coach at one time corner him when he was playing basketball out in the lobby, asking him, drilling him, when is your birthday? When were you born? This, that. And he comes back in, he's like, Mom, there's this coach out there and this parent, and I keep telling them my birthday, and they don't believe me. So it's things like that you have to actually listen, be the ear, be the spokesperson for your son, because nobody else is going to do it any better. I'm still being the spokesperson for my son today. He's entering into the draft.
It doesn't stop. It doesn't end.
It
does not
stop. It doesn't stop because Jedrick has been through a lot. And when you say that they expect so much out of him, when he decided to go to Alabama, they weren't nice. Media wasn't nice. Social media, radio stations, they all were just, you heard the negative. He heard the negative. And so let's get away from social media. Turn your phones off. I had to make him, let's turn your phones off and you just enjoy the moment that you decided to be an Alabama football player. You're going to go. You're going to play. So you have to pull those things out of him. You have to actually tell him, no matter what, Mama has your back. I have your back. People are going to say what they're going to say. You have to continue to stay in his ear and let him know. Take the good with the bad. And it's hard because he's just a young kid. He's
just
making a lifetime decision to go off to college, and people don't understand that he's just being a kid. And now he's making a lifetime decision to go off to the NFL. Jedrick just turned 21 May 17th. May 19th was his birthday. And so with him having his birthday and him turning 17, I was like, 21. And he's looking at me like, Mom, can you believe the things that's being said here on social media about me? And still now, Jedrick, don't listen to that on social media. If they're not for you, don't comment. He's got his agent. He has me. He has and let me tell some of the moms, make your circle small. Do not have a lot of people.
That's profound.
Yes. And
that's true.
Yeah,
I call it a village. I call it. I refer to it as the village, and I think our village is small, and I think it's been the same village. Nikki probably can attest to. It's been the same village since our kids were playing football together in youth league. Right. So we kept that circle small, and I think it served us well. Because I think it has helped with when our kids are out and about and something's going on, they've got these people that they know from the village that will speak positivity or steer them in the right direction, or will give them the same advice or scold them the same way that we would as their parents.
Right.
So I definitely get that. I identify with that for sure.
Yes, and just with some parents and things that coming into the football world, whether it's sports, whether it's anything that your child wants to do, any sport, and it is try to get to know the game. That's one of the things. Get to know the game, get to know the parents that are in relationship with you, because this does not come with a booklet. It does not come with instruction.
No, absolutely
You
not.
just fumble through it. You figure out what to do, how to do it. And from hands-on with me, I wish that did come with it, just like being a mother. Nobody explained to you how to be a mother. And go with your gut instincts. That I've had to do that a lot. My instincts.
Like you just said, Siv, like no one, we're hoping that this platform, Moms in the Zone, we're hoping we can stand in that gap and help, you know what I mean? So other mothers don't have to, you know, wonder, but, you know, we can have some type of blueprint or best practices, so that they can be champions for their sons. But
that's it.
I know we're all girlfriends and we can talk all day. But, I think this was amazing. And Siv, we're so blessed to have you.
It's empowering.
Yeah, and I see you repping the Cleveland Browns. Before we close out,
thank you so much.
So what number is Jed? What number is he going to be?
He will be 71.
71.
Yes.
Okay.
71.
So all of our viewers, make sure, you know, just this time you might be a Bears fan or Falcons or whatever, but just this time we want you to root for Jed. I'm a Cleveland Browns fan when Jed is playing. So
and I've had. I mean, it's going to be an enjoyment to get there, because through all the Corona and everything, he's still at home. He's still doing the virtual meetings and things on Zoom with his coaches. They're all remarkable. I'm still just trying to keep him upbeat. He's ready to get out on the field, get going. And I've just heard all these good things about Cleveland, all the Cleveland whole nation. Everybody up there is excited. They're excited for Jedrick to come. I just can't wait to be a part of it, because this is still, as you say, it's going to be a mentoring thing, me learning. I'm going, and I always say I'm opening up another book in Jedrick's a chapter in his book. And that's one of the things that, I have talked to his agent about this. I want to write a book. I do want to write a book and get this book to where they will see Jedrick didn't just walk on to this. This was a hard struggle. There's some good points, bad points. His journey, his path to getting to where he is. I think that it can help a lot of kids, because he has been remarkable. Him, his brother, and his sister on things that getting to this point to where they are. It's a story to tell. It's really a story to tell. And I enjoy you all having me on here. Anything that I have said today, I hope it can help any of the other moms that are out here. And just know your son. Just because they get older, that doesn't mean to stop parenting as they get older. It continues to keep going on and on and on.
They need the parenting. Yes, we thank you.
Yes, they do. And we thank you so much, Ms. Siv. We thank you for being on today, and all the knowledge and wisdom that you've shared with us. And we want to say to our viewers, thank you for tuning in to the first episode of Moms in the Zone. And we will be bringing a weekly show to you each week. And with that, we're going to let you all know, get in the zone, and stay tuned for the next episode of Moms in the Zone. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye. Thanks.